Welcome back to another handsome review with your handsome host. It is I, Jamian Surita, and I'm really glad to see you. And now we're going to be talking about the Phase 4 MCU movies, specifically my ranking of all 7 of the movies. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you to all 91 subscribers of you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following me. Thank you for watching my videos, for liking it, for letting me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. And I promise to continue making videos so you can continue having a reason to stay subscribed. Don't worry, this account will be active. Thanks again, and please enjoy the ranking. Number 7, Eternals. Eternals was something that I was looking forward to for a while. It took a long time to happen because of COVID. It was delayed about a year because it was supposed to be ready for 2020, but came out in 2021. It starred Kit Harington, Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Gemma Chan, Ma Dong-seok, Salma Hayek, Barry Keoghan, Lauren Ridloff, Bill Skarsgård, Kumail Nanjiani, and his buffest role. He had to do like a whole transformation and everything. He looked very different when that movie came out. And that's what a lot of like the commercial and stuff we're talking about. Like, oh, look at the changes that he did. And some people think it's possibly steroids. Who knows? Leah McHugh, who played Sprite. It's like the little girl character who wasn't really a little girl because all these characters are immortal. So, she struggled with that stuff. Brian Tyree Henry, which is a great actor. I believe he was also in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was a great movie as well. And then, it had the makings. It had the makings of a great movie. A great casting. It was directed by... One second. It is a very... she's someone that's relatively new, but she did get a lot of attention coming up to the movie because she made like an indie movie that got a lot of attention. Her name is Chloe Zhao. So, this was definitely one of those movies where it had a very diverse cast, which is great. I think that as long as it's not forced, that it could be something really wonderful because it explains and explores the world in a way that a lot of people won't get to in real life. Some people, they live in their bubble. They stay in certain towns their whole lives, and the only way they really get to explore what the world is like is through movies. And so they had a very diverse cast, So that was great. We even had like a little bit of Latino representation, so I was very happy about that. You know how I feel about that, folks. And so the movie had the making of something that I could be really interested in. But when I saw the trailers, it felt a little vague. It was like this idea of these gods that have existed this whole time, but for some reason they weren't allowed to interact when the Avengers became on to be, because they were here the whole time. They were just watching on the sidelines because apparently they were like, they were designated to only attack on certain foes who are like their nemesis or some shit. And then it turned into like this story about gods and like the idea of a god and on them becoming this great creator, creating these beings that are kind of more like robots than people, even though they have superpowers and they exist among the people, but, they're never fully human. So, the movie I thought was going to be better. I'm just going to go over like a quick thought because it's already a long enough part of the video. But basically, I thought the movie was okay. I had some good parts. I really liked Kit Harington. I felt like Gemma Chan was okay. Who else? Oh, Bill Skarsgård, they gave him a really cool creation and look as the monster, as a deviant, I believe that's what he's called. And so it was a little different. Angelina Jolie was like kind of like this Alzheimer's type of superhero, which is really interesting because it's like this concept of what happens when you lose your mind, but you have so much power. So I like that character. I thought that we could get to explore her more. But at the end of the day, the movie still felt bland, specifically because of Gemma Chan. You have to have a character that's active, and I didn't feel like she was active enough. She has a great presence, she has a great look, but nothing really happened enough for me to care. So that's my thoughts on it. Let's go to number 6. Number 6, Black Widow. So Black Widow came out in 2021. I thought it was a really good action movie for what it was, but it wasn't top tier MCU. So let me just get that off the bat. It stars Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, and Olga Kurylenko as Taskmaster. So, I did like parts of it. One of my favorite parts, it just really has to be Florence Pugh, David Harbour, and the suit of Taskmaster was pretty cool. Specifically, Florence Pugh, she was very funny. She felt very different from the character of Black Widow, which I felt was kind of more like a deadpan type of humor. She wasn't like that interesting or dynamic for me, the same way that you see Florence Pugh and in the way she enjoys who she is as the character, which I get, you know, maybe on the idea of being a soldier and someone that's being used by the government isn't a very positive or happy type of idea, but, you know, I kind of like the comedic dynamic type of thing with the superheroes. I think it's more enjoyable. And then you got Red Guardian, who really was like super funny, crazy guy. You know, you kind of explore like the idea of like the celebrity with him, because in the beginning of the movie, he's like this cool type of James Bond type of character. And then when we meet him in the middle of the movie, he's a has-been washed up soldier that was used by the government and just left to rot in jail. So you do kind of explore that. Specifically, the main part of it is like the idea of family. I know. They're stealing ideas from Fast and Furious. But we get to see Scarlett Johansson's character's family. And they're not her biological family, but the truth is that she never had one. She was basically a spy her entire existence. So you get to see more of that, you know, a more vulnerable side to the character. And I thought that this would be able to help out to make her more relatable, because I thought she was an okay character before, but then in this movie you get more time with her, and I feel like she's still an okay character. She doesn't stand out that much to me. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good time. Taskmaster has a very cool suit, although the twist is kind of something you can see from a mile away. But I thought it was okay. It wasn't too bad. Rachel Weisz, I felt like she didn't have too much to do in the story, so she didn't get a time to really shine. You know, the same way she did in the Mummy movies, which are always great to watch. And then we got to see Thunderbolt Ross one last time, played by the actor William Hurt. Rest in peace. You know, it was great to see him because it kind of put a timeline of when the movie takes place. That's like after Captain America Civil War, but before Avengers Infinity War. So it's pretty cool to see that. I'm not a fan of prequels, but, you know, overall, I thought it was pretty decent. Number 5, Thor: Love and Thunder. Look, I'm going to say something controversial. I really love this movie. I thought it was a great time. You know, Thor was very funny. I thought that on Lady Thor, no, I'm just kidding. What is she called? The Mighty Thor. She was good too. I finally felt like they gave her a personality instead of just being the science lady. You know what I mean? You know, she was facing death and she started making jokes and she felt more comfortable as this character, I think. They gave her more to do. You know, she was a bigger part of the story. And then we got to see on King Valkyrie because, you know, she's king. And so that was great. I felt like also Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher was great. He felt very Shakespearean, kind of like those tragic stories. And you kind of, you know, you kind of feel for him, even though he looks very creepy. And I like the use of color in the movie. You know, very cool for fun, bright action. And then you got this white and black coming out of this evil monster that's being literally, his energy is being taken by this possessed sword. So that was really great. And also, I love to see Korg, who's actually played by the director, Taika Waititi. He's a great actor as well, actually. I really enjoy his performances. And then you also get Russell Crowe as Zeus. And, you know, I know that usually Zeus is portrayed as this big, huge, muscular guy, but I really did love the idea of having Zeus be like this fat, older guy, you know? I thought it was funny and more relatable. You never know, maybe the gods are like that in the world of the ancient Greeks. I'm Catholic, so I don't believe in that. But in those type of stories, I kind of like the idea where they try to humanize him, because I felt like a lot of Greek literature, I did take a couple of classes reading the books and stuff, is basically like the gods are us, you know, in a way. We're just supposed to humanize them so we can understand maybe more about how the world works, and how maybe a lot of the way the world works is based on emotion. And I think that's why those plays are so big and relevant even into this day. So to have Zeus be like this fallible, fat, older guy worked. And Russell Crowe's a great actor, so you never can go wrong with him. And I thought he did great here. And then we were teased with the character of Hercules, and I want to see him. Brett Goldstein, he's a great actor. I really love him in the show that everybody's talking about. Just give me 1 second. I will confirm the name. He is known for Ted Lasso. Great show. I always thought he had a great presence in it. Like, he's a very scary person, but I think I heard him in an interview and he sounds very different. So, you know, that's the testament of his acting. And now, to the next one. Number 4, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Let me just start by the title. How cool does that sound? That sounds pretty crazy and twisted. And it was directed by Sam Raimi. First, one of the best superhero directors, and also a great horror director. And to have Doctor Strange at that type of genre is genius. Because in reality, magic is very much close to horror. If you think about it, it's the idea of the unknown, of trying to control something you can't understand. That's the concept of both magic and horror. So, also, it stars Elizabeth Olsen, Xochitl Gomez, Rachel McAdams, Benedict Cumberbatch. You got John Krasinski. You got Haley Atwell, Lashana Lynch, who's really great nowadays. Benedict Wong. You got Anson Mount, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Sorry if I butcher his name. He's a great actor. And you have Patrick Stewart. Damn, the list goes on. The list is pretty long. But the point is this. I really love the concept, the idea of actually getting to join the multiverse and seeing all those different universes. Holy cow, it must have been great to write that and be like, okay, and this happens and that happens and this happens. But the main idea still is about like character. Even though I feel like people did kind of dismiss it as saying it has a lot of flaws. I mean, it's not perfect, but I did relate to the ideas that they had. You know, one of the surprising ideas that they had for this movie was love. Was a big concept in the movie, very similar to, I guess, Thor: Love and Thunder. Not as much on the nose, but for Doctor Strange, it was about this idea of letting go. And I feel like when you talk about something like the multiverse and love, it kind of makes sense because you always kind of think about that, you know, like, oh, what if this relationship worked out, or what if it didn't, or what if the person I'm with is cheating on me? There's so many ideas that goes into your mind when you're in the relationship, whether it's a secure relationship or it's not, you know. So the idea of getting to do it over, or maybe that you're falling in love with the same person in all the different universes, is really romantic and interesting. And then they also brought the horror, and the horror came from the idea of, like, I guess kind of motherhood, isn't it? Because of the fact that Wanda loses her mind since she lost her children. And she's already lost so much. And then you kind of see her kind of come to grapple with the idea of loss. And she becomes this person that's obsessed with the multiverse as well. So you have these two concepts of like love and letting go kind of go throughout the whole story. And we got John Krasinski play Dr. Reed Richards, right? He is a doctor. Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. Should be called Dr. Fantastic, but his villain is Dr. Doom, so maybe that's why they just call him Mr. Fantastic instead of Dr. Fantastic. Be two doctors, be too confusing. But yeah, you know, it was a dream casting come true. Wong was giving a lot more to do, and you know, he's starting to stand out a lot more on his own, away from Doctor Strange, so that's really cool to get to see as well. And then Doctor Strange was great. Honestly, I felt like he stood out. He was going through his own struggles, and he was kind of being reminded how much of an a-hole he is in like all the universes. And if I was him, I'd be tired of it by the end of the movie, to be honest. America Chavez was introduced, so we have another Young Avengers coming out. I thought she was good. She was funny. You know, she was cool sidekick type of character. You know, I think I need more time to really see her as a lead, and maybe she will be. You know, she'll maybe get her own movie or TV show at this point. Anything's possible. But she did good. I really liked her time on the screen. And those are my thoughts. Also, great kill scenes with the multiverse characters. That was awesome. And that's the really good thing about doing the multiverse concept. You can kill as many people as you want and not have any real consequences. Or maybe if you want the consequences, it's up to you to make that stick, you know? Number 3. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It starred Awkwafina, Simu Liu, Tony Leung Chiu-wai, Michelle Yeoh, and a bunch of other great, fantastic actors. I thought the movie was very entertaining. It felt very much like it's part of the world. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like it could exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but still was on its own. And I thought that was great because, you know, it gives time for the movie to shine. If you make sure that each movie can stand on its own, then the universe can come to life. Trust me. Because of the fact that later you can always connect it. And what they do a lot of times too, I notice, is they retcon things from the past to kind of explain why it makes sense with the movie that's happening right now. I'm just going to say this. I thought the action was fantastic. Holy cow, that bus scene and all the, that guy's leg destroying that entire bus, and he was fighting and he was like, whoa, he was pretty cool. I thought he was great. He felt very relatable, you know. He felt very much like where he's from, but at the same time, he's an American. You know, and I think that's the point of making these type of diverse characters, is to make them feel close, personal, relevant. No matter how different they may seem, we are all humans at the end of the day, and I feel like they did it with this movie. It was great, great time, action, loved it. And it was very different. And the thing is that I don't know too much about the character besides this movie. Otherwise, it would be higher on my list. But I really did love it. Now let's move on to the next one. Number 2, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I mean, what can I not say about it? It starred Tena Huerta, Letitia Wright, Dominique Thorne, Angela Bassett, let me see, Mabel Cadena, Danny Guerrera, Michaela Cole, Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, Alex Levanali. I feel like at this point I'm reading a graduation list. Morgan Freeman, also Lake Bell, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yep. And a whole bunch of other great actors that I did not name. I thought that it did great. You know, a lot of great action. The representation of Latin Americans is kind of great. You know, we get like a Native American representation, which we don't get too much in the media. And to have that become a big part of it, along with like Black Panther's Wakanda, I feel like is really great because it's something that can be used to kind of elevate the groups that are usually oppressed, you know, and to give them representation as groups, especially in superhero movies, can do a lot of great things because it brings them all into the limelight and has people think about whatever they're looking at in a different light for the first time. Sometimes all it takes for you to create empathy is a little bit of exposure and just getting to know someone that may be a little different from you, you know? And then that's when you find the humanity. Also, you know, I just like the action. The Latin characters were great. There was a little bit of Spanish in there. I was like, yeah, I know this. In my head, I was like, take off the subtitles. I speak Spanish. And then they had like one of the greatest challenges ahead, which was make a movie that honors the late, great Chadwick Boseman. He was Black Panther, and I think that, you know, I can't speak for him because, you know, I didn't know him personally. But I feel like he smiled when that movie came out, and he's going to be more in peace knowing that they were able to make such a great moving story about loss. And I still go back to the whole point of this movie. I feel like a big part of Black Panther relates to loss and to mourning and to the idea of past life. You know what I mean? Especially the way it started with Captain America Civil War. But yeah, so that's my opinion on that. Let's move on to number 1. Number 1, Spider-Man No Way Home. I think you already saw that coming. One of the coolest, greatest throwback type of Marvel movie that we've ever seen. You know, it brings us Tom Holland. It brings us Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Zendaya, Marissa Tomei, Willem Dafoe, Jacob Batalon. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of his character. Jamie Foxx, Benedict Cumberbatch, Alfred Molina, Thomas Hayden Church. What a stacked cast it is. And what a stacked cast of nostalgia it is, too. I grew up with the original Spider-Man movies, and man, they do it justice. Tobey Maguire was great. You know, he looks a little older, but, you know, he was still great in the movie. Andrew Garfield, I feel like he shines like a bright star in the sky. No, I just really like the way he kind of empathized the character, and he made him more relevant than he ever did with those other Spider-Man movies. So that might be more of a testament of the director's work than it is of the actor at that point. But with the director of John Watts, he did a great job. I'm really happy for him because he is a great actor. Seeing his other stuff, and then I compared it to the original Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I'm like, night and day. So different. Very different. Also, Jamie Foxx became really cool in this movie. He was a bit of a joke in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and they did him justice. Thomas Hayden Church, I felt like had the least to do as Sandman. I don't know. I felt like he was just some angry guy getting in the way. And then Alfred Molina did a good job too. You know, he still felt relevant and like this soft-spoken type of Dr. Octopus, which I'm a little disappointed about, to be honest with you, because I wanted to see more of what he is like in the comics, which is like this conniving, evil, dark character. And then Willem Dafoe, you know, what can I say? What a great actor. Great casting when they got him as Green Goblin. Norman Osborn, he did great in this movie too. He killed it. He kills it. And Tom Holland too. I know that, you know, they got a lot of casting, a lot of actors in here, a lot of story, and then it feels like you can kind of lose it. But even with Doctor Strange in it, I feel like Tom Holland still holds his own against everything. The emotional moments in the movie, they still hit hard for Tom Holland, and the way it ended and kind of set up this open future for him, I felt like it was really great. And it kind of felt like we were going back to the original Spider-Man, the ones from like, you know, the ones directed by Sam Raimi type of thing at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. So it was pretty great. So those are my thoughts on the movies. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, it's a little different. I just wanted to make something different for you guys. And also just let you know, happy Thanksgiving, because I know it is tomorrow. So it's gonna be. I hope you have a great time. I hope you eat, you drink, you spend time with your family. You're thankful. You just enjoy your day. And I'll see you next time.